Hello. So, sumpi ko hitanga ding giao ding moi ke leste ya. Ya jong hoi lal mo.
Okay,
Here you go.
all right. Okay, well, I'm so glad you have joined us for this Talking is Teaching.
Tu ni ki mu kik thei lung lam hang chi mo.
Today, for those of you that know, or that have been here before, and I think you all have, we start off with a topic that we're going to talk about for the month.
Ei ikipat sim tak changa om khin sa te bang pai khin pai den table omina ei thulu to mo khakat thulu pen ke bang lo thulu to ki pan masa ding yang che.
And this month, we're talking about the importance of bringing language about opposites and comparisons.
Tu tu nga i thulu ding pen hi kamal to ki sai na ki lebul kamal chi dan te mo te kak na chi dan te pol atom tom ki sang ding hi che.
So I know I've said this before, but I always like to come back to over 80% of your child's brain is developed by the age of 3.
Ina kongen ki sa sa hi itate pen mo kum thum i phak tak chang na amawi akhwa ku pen so pasen som yat chang bang khang to khin tau hi chi mo.
So when we think of all of scientists and doctors and engineers, they all started as little curious kids figuring out how things fit into something.
Ina hidana mi pil tampitak imu tak chang sia wan te zong engineer te zong mo tampitak om ding na amau pen koi tang pan ki pan yam chila hi aneu ma pan ma wang mo amawi atu te nop na curious na chidan mo thukan nop na china pan akipan kya vi ve aneu pan mo hi che.
So all of these concepts, there's kind of these little steps, right?
Ina thiran tusin na pen hitanga anga na ding wa pen bangale step aneu chi dan na aneu neu pana mo hi ki build up to aki lam to aneu neu pan mo.
So one really simple way to help prepare your children for school is to just talk about opposites and comparisons as you go about your daily routine.
Ina amau sang ka aki gid na ding wa bang hoi na khat bang thu to patta leng hoi yam chela hi nisima imu na te hi zong mo ina khat akile bu kamal te hi zong khichang khat le khat te kang na chedan nisima nun tang na tung to na mo to thu te gen pi leng panamau ding asang ka da ding zong amau tampi taki ging tom hi chi mo.
So often children are about 2 or 3 years old before they fully understand this concept.
Ina amau hi thu khat kum ni kum thum aphang ma wa mo hi thu khat atel ma wa to kum ni kum thum aphang ma wa.
But way before that, when they're this little age, is a wonderful time to start introducing these concepts of opposites.
Ina to man zong hi aneu ma te akipan mo amau pen hi na thu kamal te kilebul na le te kang na te to te zong gen le patta ding zong to te zong to hun pana zong kipan the hi chi mo kum ni kum thum phang ma zong.
So on the handout you receive, you'll see some ideas on how to introduce this concept.
Ina to idea mo to thu hil na hitanga zong muin chen lai dal tunga kamal ki bang lo te le te kang na thu ki kup thei zia mo hitanga zong tampi tang ki hil yetanga zong gen te na hi che.
So the first is very simple. And when we're talking about doing this, I don't mean waiting until your children are speaking, but even with these little babies, oh, it's so soft, or oh, do you feel that book? It's rough, or maybe foods that they eat, or the carpet, or maybe a leaf. Ooh, it's cold and crumbly.
Ina ama achi aneu te chi tak changa zong apau thei ke nai ke zong baby mo hi naw ngek a hi phial zong mo hopi thei hi chi mo gen te na bang o hi lai bul ne le chi dan mo o hi ate bang chia amau ya sa chi dan khong zong mo atom tom min ki hopi thei hi chi naw ngek te.
So here's an example. Maybe, especially this time of the year, it gets dark really early, so you might see the moon with your child. They might still be awake when the moon is here. So, I see the moon. We see the moon at night. What do we see during the day?
Ina hi tulai tak khun to ki zuya zong bang ki gen the yam chi le ni tak chang in bang khwa khapi na mu yam hi kya le suna bang ki mu yam chi dan atom tom te ki kum the ki gen the hi chi mo.
And many of these little ones that don't have a lot of vocabulary yet may not say the sun, but the sun, you're right. We see the sun during the day and the moon at night.
Ina gen te na bang na pang ten kamal tam pitak athai nai ke zong mo ina kamal khat le ni chi athaya le zong mo mau to dan gen thei ding na to tung to na zong tam pitak dot na hi kya le na pang te tam pitak ki gen thei hi chi mo.
And there's lots of opportunities for this. For my son right now, everything is put it in, dump it out. Put it in, dump it out. Hundreds of times a day. That's my life. But it's lots of opportunities to talk about, you put the circle in the box. Now you're going to dump it out. Oh man, what are you going to get next?
Ina amau ya agam tan na te uzong gen khe tang leng pen amau zong lop tom sang mo gen te na bang ateng tau asunga akoi tak chang nang tu na sunga koi ta mo o nang la khe ta mo to hele tun nang bang hi som nia chi dan khong mo amau I agam tan na te gen khe ding na to da na hopi leng amau zong lop hi chi.
So when you use words such as hot, tall, big, fast, yes, then you can help your child think of, okay, so it's really cold outside. What's the opposite of cold? What if we're not cold, we're really hot. You're right. See, he knew it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kamal kile bul koi dan hiam chi le gen te na bang na pang ten asa chi dan khong malang chi dan khong mo gol sang chi dan te khong pen athei wa le o avodi ale lambang hiam asai ale lambang hiam hi kya le to dan thu mo asangi ale bul kamal bang hiam chi dan atom tom te ki dong the hi che.
And mealtime is a great time because it's something that you're already doing. So really making use of that and really just as much language as you can put into your meal times, talking about which vegetables are crunchy and soft and hot and cold and what's bigger and smaller.
To adina ka gen te lak ka gen kamal te hi zong atom tom te pen bang huna sinleng hoi tom yam chile I anne khun mo nisima I hi det anne khun pen to hun pen lim taka jang siam leng pen gen te na bang an asamo avon mo hi kyale anne mo akhaw mo hai no mo chi dan atom tom lam kamal kile bul te zong tampitak kil thading hi mo anek lai ta ken zong.
So I brought a little activity that's something that we made, and you could do it with anything in your house that you have kind of the same. You could do it with socks or lids or boxes, really anything.
Hi pen activity hi kimo na khatina ama bol to mina mo hi bel ama hi to mina nobel na inwan na nei bang mo za to mo hi kyale bung te to mo na nei dan van zat na te to mo ki hi the hi chi ki jang the hi.
So this just helps children think about comparisons. So when we're getting them ready for school, thank you. Thinking about kind of grouping things together. And these are great ways to make it a fun game where they're home, they're learning, you're engaging with them.
Hi takate asang ka ma zong hidan te kil the ina mo bai ma mai na hi pen na kha po khale khat ki te kak na hi zong mo.
So these are all the same, but they wouldn't have to be. So there's just some big stars and some little stars. So you might have this on the floor and help them. Okay, we're going to put first, where is the big star? Which one's big? Is this one bigger or is this one bigger? Which one's bigger?
Which one is
This
bigger?
one?
The
blue one? You are so right. So then you're going to take all the big stars and put them with the big. You're going to match them. So you could do this with anything that you have. Maybe you have bigger t-shirts for mama and smaller t-shirts for baby, or socks, or pieces of fabric, anything, or maybe just little pictures that you cut out from a magazine or something. Anything that's safe for little ones. And it's going to depend. He is probably ready for this with his age. If you're doing it a little younger, maybe it requires a little more help from you to help think about it with them, talk about it with them.
Ina hite bang hile ina evan zatte to kizang theijiao mo lei tang tang kulo ina hi bang hile big agol small anewina la ra khat to koi theijiao ja no hi thei dan dan mo to pen kending na o agol pen ko yam agol aksi ko yam anew aksi ko yam okay toile en hitaka nei tai na hite pen agola koite pen agola pai ding koite pen anew da pai ding chi te jong mo amau khen sak thei hi chi mo.
So there's lots of ways to think about this, and I just encourage you that whether it's just talking with your kids while you're changing their diaper, or if you're waiting in line and you're saying, okay, let's look at all the fruit that we see. What's the biggest fruit that you see over there? A watermelon, you're right. A watermelon's huge. Now what's the smallest?
Ina to ina bekilo mun khat pepo khong na pai tak chang jong ina hidanga tan si na mun hi khong jong mo sai khong na pa ya le gen te na bang singa te en sak ding na o hi singa bang hiam kya le hi koi singa gol pen yam koi neo yam koi gol zo yam chi dan atom tom thu tom tom ho pi thei chi dan mo hong gen hi.
Okay, so does anyone here know a song about a bus?
Hitanga bus achi song athayom nya.
Do you guys know a song about a bus? The Wheels on the Bus is a song that I love because there's so many opposites. And I love talking about opposites. Okay, so I'm going to sing it, and if you guys want to join in with me, feel free. If not, that's fine too.
Okay, samanu na the wheel on the bus ji pen dei pen hi ji bang chi le.
Is that a common song?
Yeah, it is. To tanga pen na kapipo like na atom tam kile bu na chi dan khong kamal tam pita ki jang ina to pen na pangte hu mama chi mo ina no na thei wa le zui thei mo ina samanu nong sa ding mo.
Do you want to sing in English or
Yeah, English is fine.
English? Okay, I'm going to need a little help though, okay? Ready?
Okay, zui di le.
The wheels on the bus go
round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
The people on the bus go up
And down, up and down, up and down. People on the bus go up and down, all through the town.
The doors on the bus go
Open and shut, open and shut.
The doors on the bus go
All through the town.
The wipers on the bus go swish, swish, swish. It must be rain.
Swish, swish, swish.
The wipers on the bus go
Swish, swish, swish. All through the town.
Okay, last one. The horn on the bus goes beep, beep, beep.
Beep, beep, beep.
The horn on the bus goes
All through the town.
Oh, you were so
Woo,
good at
good
that. Okay, now we're going to read a book about fruit.
Lai busim ni le mo singa to kisai.
No, you don't have to, whatever. And I encourage you, whether you want to, however you feel most comfortable, you don't have to read any of the words in it. So if you just want to tell your own story, with your child. Point to pictures, see what they're interested in. That is the best that you can be doing. So don't feel like you need to read these words.
Ina hilai bu sunga kamalte vek pia muvel jen mo hi kamalte na zinop la zuite a hi kele noi na gen nop gen te na bang hilai bu namu tak jang alim thu bek na gen nop la zong gen te mo hilai te bek sim ding chi na zong hi ton lo mo tong thai sak.
So this book is called Eat Your Colors. Okay. Does anybody here like to eat vegetables? You do? What's your favorite vegetable? Do you have a favorite? My favorite, what is it? Watermelon. Why do you like watermelon? Because is it sweet and juicy? Yes, I know, and it reminds me of summer. The title of this book is Eat Your Colors. Oh, vegetables are crunchy, fruits are sweet. Eat a rainbow. What a treat. What fruits and vegetables do you see? What do you see? Do you see a pumpkin? And a red tomato? It's a big circle. Who here likes tomatoes? You do? Do you eat them plain or on a sandwich or in a salad? Anyway, yum. And look, there's a round yellow apple. I didn't even know there were yellow apples. Can you think of any other colors of apples? What color apple have you seen? Green and red and a green bell pepper. And what is this? A blueberry. Okay, I have a question. Which fruit is bigger, an apple or a blueberry? Which one's bigger? An apple. He's like, obviously. Yes, exactly. Red. Oh, apples and strawberries on your plate. Eat your reds. They taste great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 juicy strawberries. Do you guys like strawberries? You do? My son loves strawberries. What about these little tomatoes? Those tomatoes look different, huh? It's a different kind of tomato. They're smaller than this big tomato. And you know what else is fun? As we go through this book, maybe you can find there's a fork on every page. So you'll have to look really hard. Some of you older kids maybe will see it really fast. But carrots and melons, just for you. Big round pumpkins are orange too. If these were in front of you, what would you eat first? What would you eat first? You'd eat something orange? That is very true. Yes. Which orange thing would you eat? Would you eat the cantaloupe? Or an orange, or a long skinny carrot? What would you eat first? An orange, you like oranges? Or a big pumpkin? A slice of lemon looks like the sun. Eating yellow is fun. Yeah. Do you guys have a lot of fun when you eat orange food? Yeah. There's corn and a long... Do you guys know what this is? Have you guys seen this? It's a squash. My son always thinks it's a banana. And a pineapple? You have to cut the pineapple open, don't you? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. That's much easier. Yes, can you find the... Oh, do we have a question? What's your question? He's so cute. Oh, just raising hands.
So agree with you.
Yes, he agrees. It is fun. Yellow fruit are fun. Broccoli, peas, pears, and beans. Crunch them. Munch them. Eat your greens. What are some of the vegetables you see here? Do you see sweet peas? There's lots of peas. You know what? You older kids, I bet you could count all these peas. Do you think you could? Or, okay, this is really hard. Does anybody know what this is? That is broccoli. You are exactly right. What is this kind of funny thing? Have you ever had that before? It's called an artichoke. Isn't that an artichoke? I think that's okay. I don't eat artichokes, but it's kind of funny looking, huh? And the long asparagus. And a pear. Yum, a sweet pear. And look at this little guy. What is that? It's kind of fuzzy on the outside. And kiwi, yes. You guys must eat a lot of fruit. Juicy blueberries are soft and sweet. Yummy blues are good to eat. Oh, do you guys like that? So today, when you're eating dinner, you can think about what's on your plate is long and what's short and what's crunchy and what's soft and what's sweet and what's round and maybe what's kind of like a carrot, long and thin. Yes, okay, well, I think, should we read the other book? I think I don't know if the food's here yet. So this is the book that we're going to give to the older ones, just not the babies because they'll put it in their mouth and you have to be real careful with the binding of these. This book is great, parents, because it has very few words. And so it's a really good opportunity to just kind of talk about what you see. And especially these kids are so engaged. So when they're turning the page and they're starting to ask you things and point, you can just tell your own story.
Ina na pangten mo hirana etak jang alimuto bebek enthe mo alai sim ke jang to alim tung ton wa mawi alungdut na tung ton wa don na jong dong the jong hopi the atom tom no in again dan tang thu tom dan gen the ji mo.
So this book is called Good Night Gorilla. And the author of this book, can you guys remember who the author? What does an author do? Do you remember some of you older ones? The author writes the book. And the author of this book is Peggy Rathman. Peggy, yep. Okay, Good Night Gorilla. Good night, gorilla. Has anybody here ever seen a gorilla? Have you ever seen a gorilla? You have? Where did you see a gorilla? Did you see a gorilla at the zoo? Yes, okay. Well, takes place in a zoo. Look, and the gorilla saying, "No, thank you. I'm not ready for bed." Do you think he knows that the gorilla's behind him? What would you do if you turned around and you saw a gorilla behind you? What would you do? I don't know either. I hope that never happens. I would probably either very quietly tiptoe or I would run. I don't know. Good night, elephant. Do you think the elephant's tired? Let's see. Oh, who let the elephant out? The gorilla. Oh, man. He let the elephant out, so now the elephant and the gorilla are walking behind the man. Okay, Now what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? Now they see a lion. Do you think they're going to let the lion out too? Let's see. Oh no, you guys were right. Now the lion, the elephant, and the gorilla are all following the man. I think I would notice if I had 3 big animals following me. And now they let the giraffe out. So now there's 4 animals following the man. He said, "Good night, armadillo." But do you think the armadillo's going to sleep? No. What do you think he's going to do? Follow him. Now they're all walking. And look, the zookeeper's going, said good night to everyone. Now I'm going to go to sleep. Oh, man. And all the animals went in the house with him. Do you think an elephant would fit in your house? An elephant would not fit in my house. The door is not big enough. No way. Maybe an armadillo, but not the elephant. So here the zookeeper is taking off his shoes, he's stretching, he's gonna get in bed, and look, everybody's getting comfortable. They're all gonna go to sleep too. Oh man. Good night, dear. And look, what's everyone doing? They're all sleeping. They're getting comfortable. They're all nice and ready for bed. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. But then, what do you see? What is it? Somebody's eyes. Somebody woke up. Who woke up? Oh no! His wife woke up, and what do you think she saw? A giraffe, and an elephant, and an armadillo, and a hyena, and a lion, and a gorilla in bed with her. Oh man! And look what she did. She said, no, we're taking you all back. So they all walked back. And she said, good night, zoo. But look who's there. The gorilla. He just wants to stay in their house. It's such a silly book. Good night, dear. Good night. But that silly gorilla, he really wanted to stay with them. That would be so silly, wouldn't it? Gorillas do not belong in our house. Good night. Good night. Shh. Good night, gorilla. That's the end of that book. But parents, you could just talk about colors. You could talk about animals. You could talk about what the sounds the animals make. There's lots of opportunities since there's not many words. So it's a really fun book in that way. So I hope that for those of you that have older ones, that's for the older, a little bit older.
Hi lai bu sunga bang kamal tam kholo mo gente na khala khong hi jong alim hi jong ganing thu hi jong atom tom na gen nop la jong ki gen thei mo hi te ba anaw neo zero te sang twai atung pian te mo amawa ding hi lai bu jong ki gen thei mo.
And when you have kids that are just a little bit older and they have a lot of vocabulary, I would ask, and even with the little ones, but I would ask a lot of open-ended questions.
Ina hi naw pang ong dong thei zero te hi jong mo aneu te hi jong ong dong thei lim te hin jong mo amau kya nga hopi le chen hidana dot na mo aki hong dot na gen te na bang hi le thu khat dong le he hilo yes le no hilo na mo amau na akam maluto hong dong kik thei dot na te to te dong leo chen hoi pen hi chi mo.
So not just questions that have yes or no. And I know we talked about this last month, but I think it's a really good way to use books. Other books that have content that has to do with feelings. It's a really good opportunity to ask children how they would feel in that situation. What would they do? You know, if the friend was sad, what are the things that we could do?
Na nung ka zong gen kinina mo he open ended question te pen yes le no akidog te dot na bek hilo mo he hilo chi chang bek hilo ina gen te na bang lai bu a hoi kuiran te hoyam chila hi amawi hi khansa chet to kisai mo amawi feeling dan lai bu feeling to kisai te bang hile gen te na bang oh hi alomina to dan hile koi chidan amanina ko jiran ngai sunding hiam chidan atom tom mo to te zong lai bu naw pangte to thu to zong simple lang ama wading zong tampita khoi ding hi che.
And books that are repetitive like this, a lot of children's books are repetitive, helping children think, okay, what do you think is going to happen next? Because it helps them think about that predictability, predicting what's going to happen when there's a pattern. And so just asking them that, taking that moment of, okay, this has happened. What do you think is going to happen? And even if they don't say it, then you say, oh, yes, he's probably going to let them out of the cage too. But don't actually do those, kids, ever.
Ina ama again lai bu tamzo hidana ongpai ki chidan gen te na bang hisunga hele khat lakhya khi tak chang anung ki zui chidana aki pai ki ko mi ven mo action ki bang ki te omina to te bang hile an I thehang pen naw pang te pen amau kya nga khat ve ni ve again ki tak chang o tun bang piang ding chidan khong mo tun hile bang hi bang ong piang tam bang hi sunga mo bang piang tam chidana dong leo chen amau jong hong don tak chang o hi mai chidan bang piang tam ke jong thailo kan dia chidana next page chidan mo tarana zong ki hopi tigian themo lai buisim tak chang.
So thank you so much for reading with me. Do you guys want to sing one more song before you guys leave for dinner? Oh,
reflection.
Actually, okay.
Na tun ibal to zai na mo lungdam ma mai na den chang semanun.
I brought a bunch of pens. If Buyang, do you need pens? Yes.
Na tuni ile sen tung to na trading hi jiao mo ko lai na gel thele ko lai yang phe sa kon la ko lai na the ke la zong zo lai phe thei mo mang lai na thele zong hoi sem khap po